So Savitri is revealing the great unfolding of truth through a process of evolution. So Sanatan Dharma has these three threefold understanding to it, threefold sides to it. One is that there is a truth eternal at the base of all things. And it's called dharma because dharan karna, that holds creation. It is at the base of creation. So dharma. But it also unfolds. So the great unfolding is being told to us. And where does the unfolding starts? From darkness. Even there is a Sanatan Dharma. And as it evolves at each level, it creates its own dharma. That's why dharma is such a complex thing when we really go into Indian thought. It's not about a list of do's and don'ts. It changes as we evolve. The dharma, it is the dharma of the tiger to eat. You can't tell him that, you should please follow the non-violent principle. He will die. It's the dharma of the tiger. It's the dharma of man to think and act. And if he doesn't think and act, he, like an unthinking person, he just goes by whatever his feelings are, then he is not fulfilling his dharma. He is being driven like an animal kind. And as we grow beyond thinking man, the dharma begins to change because that's why, people often wonder why Buddha walked away. Yes, that's Buddha's dharma. Shobinda says that, we often mistranslate it as duty. So he says it's not true. It is the duty of the judge to send a person to gallows. But if he changes inside and feels that any such thing is a crime against humanity, then he should accordingly modify his whole life because it's an evolving thing. So this aspect of dharma as a unfolding and evolutionary process is hinted in the Gita, the Lok Sangrahar, the march of humanity. But Sri Aurobindo and the mother bring it to its utmost acme. And they take it further that there is still a future evolution and greater ranges are going to be revealed to mankind till the very home of truth, from where the whole process started, mankind reaches there. And that's what we are going to read now further. Even intuitive mind is not the ultimate. Thought there has revelations, sun-bright eyes. The word, a mighty and inspiring voice, enters truth's inmost cabin of privacy and tears away the veil from God in life. So when one begins to awaken to the intuitive mind, the inspiring word that is found. That's what the Vedas and the Vedic rishis often speak about. Saraswati, she is the inspiring word. Or Dakshina, the right law of action in every given circumstance, not determined by the usual thought and rational mind, but something which is greater than the whole unfolding. So then one finds the word that can inspire the voice and speech and make it mighty and inspiring and show the presence of God everywhere. Normally he is hidden. So when we are living in concept, then we say, this I understand, this I don't know why this has happened. Then we bring in some stock philosophy. Oh, previous karmas. Now, it's done away with thought. But that's not how truth works. Truth is a constant unfolding at each moment. And that is revealed when one begins to live in the intuitive mind. Then stretches the boundless finite's last expanse. Look at it. Now, finite has stretched itself to a state of boundlessness. So, boundless finite, still finite. But it is stretching on to till it will enter into the infinite. Now, this is a big difference. Sometimes this little emphasis. Because ordinarily, when we use the Zen trick, Zen method is a trick of the mind actually, by which the mind from its present status can leap into the infinite. But that's not evolution, that's annulment. It can't come back and, lead the normal life because it's not gone through the evolutionary process. But the way that is shown in the Isha Upanishad, Sri Aurobindo speaks of that, and we see that Sri Aurobindo is revealing that, is to progressively enlarge the consciousness till it enters into that state of boundlessness. So, boundless finite. The cosmic empire of the Overmind. Now, these are the emperors, the great world seers. In the true sense, this is Samrat. First Swarat and then the Samrat. And each of these beings can create an empire of their own. Not physical empire, but an inner empire. The cosmic empire of the Overmind, time's buffer state bordering eternity, too vast for the experience of man's soul. Otherwise, suddenly an entry into the supermind will be blown off. So it's a buffer state, like a cushion. You are getting now more and more light, but still it is coming through a cushion. And then when you cross over, by then the whole body and being and sight and heart and mind are prepared. Otherwise, it'll be too much for human consciousness. So one has to go through this process. All here gathers beneath one golden sky. I mean, it will be so much that human beings can lose their head if it suddenly expresses itself. It has happened, and that's why Mother says, don't pull. Don't try to talk of that experience and what is that. If it touches even a little bit of it, the whole thing will be blown off. So there are little glimpses and then it grows. All here now he's talking about the overmind. What happens in the overmind? All here gathers beneath one golden sky. Now we know it's just there. And everything is under that sun, right under that sun. The powers that build the cosmos station take in its house of infinite possibility. So when one begins to dwell or get a glimpse of the overmind, simultaneously many possibilities will come. And that's why very often when Sri Aurobindo was asked to fix a date, and he would not do it. Because he would say that to fix a date means I have begun to express it along a certain line. But this is a house of infinite possibilities. That's why it's called Sahasrar. So one begins to see simultaneously many things at the same time. That's what is a global vision, where all the world play, all the forces are seen at this great station. All the great gods, the highest ones, dwell there. Each god from there builds his own nature's world. So there may be a god of love, and he'll build a world of love. There may be a god of justice. So he builds a world of justice. There is a god of knowledge. He builds a world of knowledge. This is a god of power. So each aspect of the divine is lifted to its utmost possibility. And though it builds its own world, somewhere it is still connected with the other beings. Lower down, that connection is gone. And they begin to quarrel. So we see in the Puranas, gods who come down, they begin to quarrel because each asserts his own world. So even now, the god of justice and mercy, god of justice will quarrel with the god of mercy. Say no, justice is higher. So mercy is higher. Now how will a greater vision reconcile? Otherwise they will fight with each other. So a greater vision will say, sometimes justice is a form of mercy. And sometimes mercy is the right justice, because when a being is ready, when you give him mercy, he begins to change inside, because he realizes by the shock. And at times, it is better for the person to go through whatever would come in the course of the cosmic process. And if he goes through it, he is ready for the next ascension. So in the supramental realm, they are reconciled. They don't fight with each other. But below, each extends his own empire. So mercy will become an activist, form an NGO, Mercy Limited. And the god of justice will form another NGO. NGO is not non-governmental organization. It's non-god-like organization. It comes from there. So it's like, though it derives the word from God, but it's not exactly God. In the divine, they are reconciled. That will come a little later. Ideas are phalanxed like a group of suns, each marshalling his company of rays. So that's how the empire is built. Each idea picks up its own followers, and those who would are inspired by it, and slowly this idea begins and becomes an empire. Another idea, so like phalanx, like fingers, coming down from a whole body of countless suns. So why is using a word group of suns? It's very interesting. If you go into the supermind, each is an absolute and yet it is in perfect unison and harmony with each other. So a group of suns. But down below, it's the idea which starts, as we said, idea of justice, idea. There, they are together and they are complete within itself, and yet they are harmonized in one single source of light. Thought crowds in masses seized by one regard. All time is one body, space is single look. So one looks at the entire march of civilization and picks up the essence of the journey, or looks at all that is happening in terms of space and finds that one truth which is unfolding itself. There is the Godhead's universal gaze, and there the boundaries of immortal mind. So, it's there that one can truly say that one is living in the cosmic consciousness, where each idea is a sun in its own right, and all of them are together. The line that parts and joins the hemisphere closes in on the labor of the gods, fencing eternity from the toil of time. So this is the line which is the lid, which we know in the famous Ishupnishad, Yagnamal prays, the face of truth is covered by a golden lid, and he wants that lid to be rent so that he can see the law of truth. He says, I know the law of death and the law of human life and the law of this, that, law of the land, but what is the law of truth? Satya dharmaye drishtaye. Hiranmayena patrena satya sapihita mukham. So after all this ascension, he reaches on the borders beyond which there is eternity. In her glorious kingdom of eternal light. See the difference. Now imagine the sun all around, seeing all around. So one has an angle of vision through which one enters the sun. And when one enters, one takes that angle of vision as the ultimate peak. But in the sun, all sides simultaneously, it is expressing and receiving. In the sun, this antagonism ceases. And that's where the gods, the labor of the gods ends there. In our glorious, the gods of the Overmind, and that's how the mother puts it, that the previous age was the age of gods, the gods of the Overmind. And it's not that one has to recognize gods. Ideologies, cults, sects, even those that don't recognize God are still an idea which has come from the infinite. So God is not just a God in the temple, but one of the many countless ideas which have governed the world, and therefore we see sects and religions and ideologies and cults because they pick up one aspect and make it the whole. But it is still not the eternal. And now beyond it, in her glorious kingdom of eternal light, all ruler, ruled by none, the truth supreme. So even these great gods of the Overmind, each sun in himself is governed by that light, draws its light from the light supreme. Omnipotent, omniscient and alone, in a golden country keeps her measureless house. In its corridor she hears the tread that comes out of the unmanifest, never to return, till the unknown is known and seen by men. So beautiful. She is the ruler. Now Sri Aurobindo changes the whole. Suddenly when he speaks of supramental Shakti, she is the omnipotent, she is the omniscience. Look at the beauty of this. Normally when we talk about omniscience, omnipotence, we talk of God. And this is the reason why he's doing it. What she is doing, she brings the powers from the unmanifest. And then she throws it into manifestation. So that one day mankind will reach there. This is her work. Ambassadoress twixt eternity and change. It is the Divine Mother's power and not any human tapasya that can rend the lid and tear the veil. Because she is the one who has the mandate. She bridges, mediates between man and the Supreme. Above the stretch and blaze of cosmic sight, above the silence of the wordless thought, thought with a capital T, without a word. It's a consciousness which is embodying itself. Thought in the original Vedic sense is not thought as we understand. We are aware of thought when it takes a body, string of words. But thought exists. Thought is the cloth that consciousness wears to manifest itself. It's just a thin covering of light, like a capsule of light. The moment it comes down, it begins to take more and more material forms. At first sight, then words unexpressed, then words which are expressed. That's why in the ancient, the first thought is just a stir, a vibration. That's why when we talk about vak or the word, there are 4 levels. So there is of course the Vaikri and the Madhyama. Vaikri is what we normally ordinarily speak, ordinary thought. Then there is the Madhyama, which is more subtle, like thought when we think as a thinker. And then there is Pashyanti Vak, the seeing intelligence. And then there is the ultimate, Paravak. It comes from the higher realm. That first stir, the vibration of truth. So that is thought, which has begun to now clothe that consciousness, and later on will become an idea, then thought, then human intelligence, then sight, then thought, as we understand it. But in the Sri Aurobindo is using the word thought in the original Vedic sense, Navagavaha and the Dasagavaha in that sense. The states of light, basically. Where are we? I am all lost in the supermind now. In a golden country. Oh yes. Above the stretch and blaze of cosmic sight, above the silence of the wordless thought, formless creator of immortal forms. So this is a beautiful description of the supramental Mahashakti. She is the formless, but she is the one who creates immortal forms. Nameless, investitured with the name divine, transcending time's hours, transcending timelessness. The mighty mother sits in lucent calm. How does she transcend both? Because she holds both. Otherwise, the moment you define, oh, she is not time, she is timeless. So we have fixed it. Or you say not timeless but time. No. She holds both and still surpasses it. So transcending time and timelessness. You can't capture her by any of them. Transcending time and timelessness. Transcending time, hours, transcending time, timelessness, the mighty mother sits in lucent calm and holds the eternal child upon her knees, attending the day when he shall speak to fate. So she sits in that calm. Now we can see time and timelessness as the ocean. Time is the waves. And the still expanse of the ocean below is timeless state. But the ocean is not limited by its manifest state. It is beyond both. The being of the ocean. And she is sitting with whom? Who is the eternal child? We are there. The Jivatman, who is sitting in her lap, on her knees. So look at it, our future is secured. I don't know why we worry. She is there, holding us on the knees. And saying, बेटा बच्चा चुप हो जा अभी नहीं वो तो रोता नहीं है तो आनंद में रहता है अभी मिलेगा सब. And what has happened with this Jivatma? It has sent a portion. That's what becomes the psychic being, the Chaitya, Purusha. So the Jivatman, who is always above time and space, sitting with the mother in her lap. That's in traditional yoga. What do? They do this again, another kind of trick. You realize the Jivatman. Now the moment you realize the Jivatman, you know you are a part and parcel of the Divine Mother. So you are in that bliss constant. That's where you discover you are a child of the Mother. So that's a discovery which yogis have made. But the other discovery, that through the psychic, the Jivatma sends a ray. That is the central being, and this is the Jivatma, the psychic being. And actually a time comes when the two fuse. It's a real experience. Then you become aware of your real mission upon earth. That, oh, this is what I'm meant for from eternity. Now one is only discovering. So one is a child of the Divine Mother. This image is simply so beautiful, one doesn't feel like leaving it. But anyways, I'll read it again. It's so beautiful. Transcending transcending time's hours, transcending timelessness, the mighty mother sits in lucent calm and holds the eternal child upon her knees, attending the day when he shall speak to fate. What is that fate? In the highest sense, what has already been decided by the divine. So one day he shall speak and say, I want it. That's my right. That's my birthright. Beautiful lines. There is the image of our future's hope. She has already fixed everything. So we are actually fighting a battle which is already won. She's already decided. But the soul, the psychic has to go through a long winding passage. And the closer we come to her, the more this future will unfold. That's why, see the logic of surrender, opening to mother. She knows what our future shall be, not we in our ignorance. So when we say, mother, I want to become a good doctor or I want to be a moneyed man, she will say, this is not what I have planned for you. You want it really seriously, and if you say, yes, okay, one of my gods will give it to you. That means you have delayed your destiny still further. I am saying presuming one is not, but maybe the Divine Mother wants to go through that journey. So at the highest level, it's also true that that's how the journey was planned. But a day will come when the original script, what we are really intended to be, that's how when somebody asked the mother, what is my place in the universal work? She says, each of you have a place. Every one has a role to fulfill and a place to occupy. And it is the task given to us to discover it. This discovery takes a lifetime. Sometimes a few lifetimes. That's the only problem. But to shorten it, it can come by grace. Because she knows. And that's the beauty of this journey. There is the image of our future's hope. There is the sun for which all darkness waits. There is the imperishable harmony. The world's contradictions climb to her and are one. One of the signs that one is drawing closer to truth is that one begins to live in a state of harmony, seeks harmony. That's why one of the places Mother defines truth actually. She doesn't define, but it's a very close definition. Truth is supreme harmony. Means all contradictions are resolved in a supreme state where they all reach their ultimate possibility and they are harmonized in that. That's why the more we draw towards truth, the less we become harsh, intolerant, and in the name of truth, we begin to become more and more, because we realize all contraries are aspects of God's face. That's how we begin to realize that He sees everywhere in everyone. So truth is supreme harmony. So there is where the harmony can be found. When Nalini asked Sri Aurobindo how to realize collective harmony, so Sri Aurobindo didn't give a lecture on, do one thing, sit together and maybe discuss, exchange your viewpoints, opinions, etc., etc. He said, living in the mother. Because if we really do it, we begin to become aware of the truth of everyone, which is also a dwelling in her. That is everybody's truth. These are mother's children, they are not. This is a ignorant way of looking at it. But a time comes when you discover that everybody is mother's child and she is drawing everyone. It's just that her agenda, what we should be, and our agenda is loggerheads. Our agenda is driven by society, by the religion we are born in, by our parents, by teachers, etc., etc. And we don't even know what we really want. But the divine may have some other agenda for us, and if we trust, He will take us there. Or rather, she will take us there. There is the truth of which the world's truths are shreds. The light of which the world's ignorance is the shade. Why? Because we cannot bear so strong a light. So it veils itself in ignorance. Because we cannot enter that immensity, so it shows itself as points, shards. This is true, that is not true. That's how it starts. In the synthesis, Sri Aurobindo says that you should start with the integral conception of the divine. So this was asked to Mother. What is meant by integral conception? So she says we all start with a conception of the divine. For example, some say this is divine, that is not divine. This is good, this is bad. Like that it starts. But as you proceed, at the end, you have this divine and the undivine. She says there comes a time when even that is resolved into a still higher state where you end up discovering that all is the divine. It's a divine in the making or a divine in the passing to make it more complete. Divine in the passing is evil. Divine in the making is good. And it doesn't depend on anything external. What was good yesterday is no more good today. A child who lingers in kindergarten saying teachers were very nice. No teacher will like it. Say, मुझे मत देख, अपनी आगे की progress देख. Isn't it? No teacher will like if a child keeps staying in the same class. So when he out of sync, 10-year-old child in kindergarten, bad. 3-year-old child in kindergarten, good. 2-year child in kindergarten, not good. So you have the divine in the making or a divine in the passing. So it remains in the shade of ignorance till truth draws back the shade that it has cast. We read the Kathopanishad, which speaks about how the divine is revealed. So it says, it doesn't come by learning or scriptures or this or that. Na yamatma pravachane nameda na bhauna shrutain. Yamaveshe vranute. Ten labhyas tishyeshe atma vivranute tanuswam. Where it chooses, it reveals itself. So when time comes, we should not, I want to realize this, experience this. No. Our task is to give ourselves. The only thing we should take stock is how much we have not been able to give to the divine. Everything that comes in our ambit, we should give. Revealing or not revealing, the divine knows. That's his job. We should not exchange the jobs. So, when the time comes, truth draws back the shade. Look how perfectly Sri Aurobindo is. He's not saying a time will come when ignorance will fall up. No. Truth draws the shade. It's a conscious process. It's a being out there and everywhere. The love our hearts call down to heal all strife. That's where we find that love. The perfect supramental love. Sri Aurobindo says, you think supramental truth is something dry? It has much greater intensity of love than human being can even imagine or bear. The bliss for which the world's derelict sorrows yearn. That's where we have the perfect doctor. His name is Dr. Bliss. So all these sorrows are healed. Till then, there are psychiatrists and counselors and friends and philosophers and guides. But when that comes, everything melts away because that is the original healer. Thence comes the glory, sometimes seen on earth, the visits of Godhead to the human soul, the beauty and the dream on nature's face. So time to time, that glory manifests itself in exceptional, rare moments when we are wrapped with the touch of eternity. There the perfection born from eternity calls to it the perfection born in time. Perfection born in time is all relative, and we had anyways a long class on that. What we call as perfection is a collection of virtues. And Mother says if you take all the virtues in the world, ultimately there will be nothing left. So she says that's not perfection. Because we can't even conceive. So perfection, she says, is where all these things are fused into a supreme oneness. But we start like this, like when we start solving a jigsaw puzzle. Now what is the perfect puzzle? Let's say one has to make the world. But where does one start? One finds North America. North America, I have found. One puts it there. One doesn't know where to put it. First puts it ignorantly. Maybe in the center. Because one thinks that America is the center of the world. It's not, figuratively, half jokingly. So then one goes, India. Or there is no other country like India. So That's how it starts. But slowly you begin to get all the relative places, the right places, and eventually you thought this alone was perfect. No. Eventually you make the whole picture and everything forms a flower in that great garland. That's how Mother puts it. Each nation has its own destiny to fulfill, and it has to discover it. That is the true national sentiment, that it's not just confined to my country or your country. Each nation must fulfill. Of course, there are nations which are not nations but forcibly separated, like Pakistan and India. They can't fulfill the destiny being cut off. They have to become one because there is no nation like that. It's as Shobindo put it, it's a nation formed by fraud, farce, and force. It's not a nation unit. If you see Punjabi that side, Punjabi this side. But India is much more than Punjab. It's nothing else. That's how, it's so. But otherwise, there is the existence of nation units. Not only today, it's right from long time, but it crystallizes around a time-space continuum. Sri Aurobindo has spoken so much about it. And each must come together to form the supreme harmony. So it's an example to understand what is that perfection and how it is drawing our limited human perfection towards that in its own way, sometimes even through what looks as disaster. There the perfection born from eternity calls to it the perfection born in time. The truth of God surprising human life. The image of God overtaking finite shapes. The truth of God surprising human life. I thought God is like this. Very kind, Yes, He's very kind. But His kindness can express itself as Kali. Beyond all human conceptions. Beyond all finite shapes. He can take any form and yet remains beyond the forms. So beyond anything that we could imagine. There in a world of everlasting light, in the realms of the immortal Supermind, Truth, who hides here her head in mystery, her riddle deemed by reason impossible, in the stark structure of material form, unenigmaed lives, unmasked her face, and there is nature and the common law of things. So beautiful. Sri Aurobindo is now going to use the word common in the most uncommon way. There is the utter simplicity of truth. Someone asked once, from the complexity of man, from the simplicity of animal life, we arise to the complexity of man. And at one place, Mother says, it is very difficult to be simple. So someone asked, actually today itself, one question came into the mail, that why is it so difficult to be simple? To be simple is to live by the law of truth. That's it. No other human thought, no other ifs and buts and this and that and right and wrong and good and bad. It's unfolding. Now it's very difficult because all the human notions are going to come in the way. All our ideas are going to come in the way. But truth doesn't work like that. It unfolds itself. It doesn't care whether you call it good or bad. Gandhari may curse Krishna and Dhritarashtra may say he is not a god. Even Draupadi may cry, well, kingdom came but all my children are gone. But what will be Krishna's answer? He'll smile and say, reach up to me, all the guys you are saying and the kingdoms are there within me. Come and find them. Nothing is lost. It's lost only to sight and to context in time. So there we discovered that perfection. There is no sorrow. Nothing is really lost. But in the play of time, but that's why it's so difficult to live by the law of truth. Even somebody like Arjuna, who is devotee of Krishna, his friend, begins to shiver. He says, what are you asking me to do? This is not what I have read in the books of sannyasa. You want me to kill? No. War is not a good option. It's always better to talk peace. And Krishna says, Uttishtata Jagrata, of course, from the Upanishad. Prapya varani bodhata. Right now, that's your target. Shoot the arrow. How to understand this? That is the truth of the moment. To live simply means, like Arjuna, to obey the command of Krishna. But it's difficult because look at it, Arjuna has so many questions. A whole Gita. Probably, Krishna had to, at one point, hurriedly tells him. It looks like he's closing it because war is going to start. So he tells him, okay, Arjuna, enough of it. He doesn't say that in so many words, but he says, Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshishyami ma sucha. Okay, I have told you enough. Now, you abandon all dharmas and take refuge in me. Half an hour they are going to sound the bugle. And assures him, wherever you and me are there, that's not Krishna's Uvacha, but Sanjay Uvacha. There will be victory. So he says, if you look at the last portion, often people say that good Gita have been written on the battlefield. Actually, the beginning and the last, if you see it very clearly, battlefield. Because otherwise there will be more questions. But Sri Krishna wraps it up very, very rapidly in terse sentences. It's like he's just saying, okay, enough, take it easy. just surrender to me and do your deed. Whatever I'm asking. And then he also says, anyways, I had told you what I had to tell you. It's like he's summarizing the questions. Now you decide what you want to do. Now, if you really look at the whole thing, very clearly it was war. Probably it was starting at 9 and Arjuna, like an excited warrior, goes at 6 o'clock to see whom I am going to kill. And Krishna, the divine, brings out of him all his weaknesses. That's an action of truth. Because this fellow, in the middle of the war, will suddenly become emotional and say, oh, my grandfather, how am I going to... So before that, and within 2 hours, Gita part is over. After 8 o'clock, probably they had breakfast and came back. See, that's how the divine works. There it is unenigma. There is no enigma. To Sri Krishna, it is plain and clear. No enigma. No ifs and buts. Unmasked her face, and there is nature and the common law of things. That's the true unfolding of nature. That's where nature has her origin. There, in a body made of spirit stuff, the hearthstone of the ever-living fire, action translates the movements of the soul. That's why the common law, Satya Dharmaye. That is the law of things, which Yagnavalk is aspiring for, which is being given to us by the grace of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, and which will begin to express itself as humanity evolves. The law of truth, what is called as Dakshina in Vedic lore. Dakshina is the goddess who inspires for right action. Dakshina is not I give it with the right hand and hold back with the left hand. And what is held back is much more important than what is being given. That is not Dakshina. Dakshina is to act under the law of truth. To give what needs to be given, and what doesn't need to be given is just held back. She begins to awaken and inspire. So there one finds the fire, which is light and also heat. So it is both knowledge and power, knowledge and will. So action. Thought steps infallible and absolute. And life is a continual worship's right. So one of the signs Mother said of Supermind is the absolute certitude of truth, not the arrogant certitude. But you know it to be true. You don't need to assert it. It will be. That's how Sri Aurobindo said that, it is going to be. It's the absolute certitude of truth. And what life becomes there? Constantly, it's a ceaseless worship of the eternal. A sacrifice of rapture to the One. Wow, beautiful. So this is the true sense of sacrifice. A purification, an uplifting and a growing rapture. Mother says in our yoga, we don't talk about renunciation. So people, renunciation is so much glorified. She says, if you think you are renouncing something, then it is of no meaning. It's not a renunciation, it's a rapture. To be able to give something to the Mother, it's a joy. How can it be renunciation? In fact, one should say, Mother, take it. Enough of this. So it's a joy. So it's a rapture. This sacrifice that is the true sense of sacrifice. Because whatever you offer there is becoming purer and brighter and greater and divine. So this is the sacrifice which is going on in that, in the supermind, where all nature is bringing up everything, throwing into this hearthstone, the Havan Kund of the sun, and returning back purified and sublimated and divinized. A cosmic vision, a spiritual sense feels all the infinite lost in finite form, and seen through a quivering ecstasy of light, discovers the bright face of the bodiless. Hiranmayena patrina satyasyapihi tam mukham. It discovers the face of the bodiless. What a marvelous line. How can there be a face of the bodiless? Face is also the front. That's how Agni comes. So we begin to discover there. Agni actually means ag, to go forward. We all often use the word age. Age chalo. Its root is Agni. So Agni is the urge for progress. So face of truth is not just the, it's the truth as it is emerging from the secret divine and taking on a body as it comes down. So the face of truth is seen. The face of the bodiless. In the truth of a moment, in the moment soul can sip the honey wine of eternity. So every moment then there is a revelation of God, and every moment is a rapture and delight, and every moment is a sipping of the wine of eternity. The supramental Ananda is the original Somras, and one who has tasted it is bound to one day or the other leave aside all lesser joys, or let them be transmuted into that one divine Ananda. I think we will stop here and continue in August. We'll have it till 23rd August. Hopefully 23rd August will be a summary session, that's why. And the chain of thought is that probably next year, 2020, which is the final year of Mother's coming, we'll complete the whole Savitri by next year, August. So that's the whole thing which is going on. In any case, it'll be completed, but it's better to,